And hello everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 7 of the Druids Dozen. My name's John, some people call me the Rock Druid, and I present a couple of radio shows. There's the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM Radio, 93.2 FM in Bristol, UK area, and there's the Rock Druid Show on the astroradio.earth, science and astronomy based program station. I'll put links to both shows with broadcast times and that down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook, and yeah, check them out if you want to listen to music, because what I do on this blog here is I actually just wave some of my album collection in front of the camera and talk about it. Unfortunately, owing to algorithms, I can't play snippets, otherwise I'll get copyright strikes, etc. I don't want to do that, so it's just covers and talk today. But hopefully you'll find it interesting and go, oh, I'll have to check that out, because that's what Google's for. And a lot of this stuff is sometimes officially hosted on YouTube anyway, so a little Google will bring up the relevant, little search will bring up the relevant songs. Anyway, kicking off with this one. We're going to kick off, as normally always, with some new wave of British heavy metal. Yeah, this is Saxon Strongarm the Law. There's the front. There's the back. And there's the inner sleeve of Saxon doing Saxon type things. Now, I know this wasn't the first Saxon album, that was Saxon. Whether this is the second or third album, I don't know. They released this, and I think it was Denim and Leather in the same year. This was 1980 anyway, and there's a whole load of albums that came out within about between 79 and 82. There was a whole gaggle of Saxon albums, and I can't remember which order they came out in. But anyway, this is a classic Saxon album. Kicks off with Heavy Metal Thunder and Hella Back Again. Then you got Strongarm the Law after that. Seminal cut about being pulled over by the old Bill on the motorway. Goes on taking the chances. 20,000, then flip it over, 20,000 feet, Hungry Years, Sixth Form Girls, and it closes with one of the seminal Saxon cuts, Dallas 1 PM, all about JFK being, JFK'd. It's a great early 80s metal album, one of these seminal albums from that period. Dates from the time when Saxon were probably the biggest selling metal band in the world, full stop. They only had that sort of slot for a year or two before Maiden overhauled them, but yeah, they made Hay While the Sun Shines. They made some great albums, including this one. Biff Bifford probably puts in one of his best ever performances on this. The guitarist Neil Oliver, and I can't remember the other bloke, terrible with names to me. Yeah, they kind of shred and whittle and jewel and chop and all that kind of thing. I think it's Pete Gill on bass, the old Glitter Band drummer, funny enough, and again, superb performance. I mean, what very, very underrated drummer was Pete Gill. Anyway, the result is just a great metal album. Recommended for anyone that's into Saxon full stop, but if you're a Saxon fan, this is probably in your collection already. Early 80s metal, new over British heavy metal, or just great music. Saxon Strongarm the Law, very, very good album. Okay, next up we got something brand new. This is so new, it's not even out, it's not even officially released yet. There we go. It's Massive Wagons, House of Noise. Their brand new album comes out next week on Earache Records. There's the front. There's the back. And there's the gatefold. Pictures of them behind there, and there's the disc itself. Now, Massive Wagons. What can I say about this lot? I'll be honest with you and say not a great deal, to be honest. This is a band I've been aware of for a couple of years now. There's a guy called Jeff who wrote this for my band Alien Stashed In. He's been in Leeds for a while, and he's been badgering me to listen to him. But beyond a couple of singles I'd had come through for radio play, I'd never really paid them that much attention. And you know, this sounds really callous, but you know, doing the radio stuff, I can get up to sometimes on a sort of good stroke bad week, I can get up to 200 submissions a week for the various radio shows. So you know, it's not surprising if stuff that I like and does get airplay. I mean, because not everything makes air because of the sheer volume of stuff I'm coming in. But stuff that does make airplay doesn't actually stick in the old noggin because there's so much music coming in, some of it's going to get flushed through and forgotten about. Anyway, this album arrived, dropped through my door about 2 days ago, and been living with it fairly, I've been playing it a couple of times a day, and overall, I really like what I hear. It's well played, but on the other hand, it's not flash. The performances on here are, I want to say, I'll be careful how I phrase this because I want to be seen as disparaging, but they're not. Put it this way: the guitars aren't Joe Satriani. The vocals are brilliant, but they're not Dave Lee Roth, if you know what I mean. But they don't need to be. If they were, this album wouldn't work, because this is just a great slice of low-down, greasy, in-your-face, sleazy in places, British heavy rock and roll. If you're into bands like the Scarlet Rebels, Texas Flood, Buffalo Summer, and then maybe some of the American bands, Buck Cherry maybe, or the British band Sons of Liberty, this is where this is coming from. It's very much a great rock and roll album. It's dirty, it's sleazy, it's grimy, it's all the things that make great rock and roll great. Yeah. Tracks like Banging in Your Stereo, which was their lead single off it, Professional Creep, fantastic Curry song which made I chuckle, How They Screw Ya, and the epic closer Matter of Time. As long as most of the other tracks on here just they kind of whiz past your ears and leave you feeling happy. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, twee but good. And this comes out in 2 weeks' time. Maybe a week's time by the time this gets up on YouTube. And I just highly recommend that you at least check it out. Give it a stream if you don't want to download or buy the CD. Like I said, this is a promo digipack. I don't know if this is going to be the final format for the album, for those of you that like hard copies or what, but anyway, whatever it is, at least check it out, and if you like what you hear, do what I've done and add it to your collection. Okay, next up, here we go, Elton John, Madman Across the Water. Now, I know this is going to be a bit of a surprise to some of you, but not to others. Yeah, there's the front. There's the back. In the inner sleeve, we have a picture of Sir Elton, long before he got the Sir. And on the back, album credits and album credits and sort of lyrics and that. Now, I'll make no apologies for waving an Elton John album in front of you. I do make an apology that the sleeve of this got damaged years ago, and but anyway, I'll make no apologies for the fact that this is an Elton John album. I like Elton John, or I'll be more precise, I like early Elton John. Some of his later stuff isn't without merit, and to be honest with you, there's even sort of some of his more recent albums that they may have a couple of tracks on there that I like. However, from his debut Empty Sky right through to probably Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, maybe even not the Captain Fantastic, I just really like the bloke. It's his kind of he's got a very honest, great singing voice, but very honest with it. It's not it can be powerful when it wants to be powerful, but it's very sweet. It's a very good voice for storytelling. which means that it works with Bernie Taupin's lyrics excellently, because Bernie Taupin as a lyricist is a great storyteller. Chuck in the fact that live you've got people like Rick Wakeman on this album doing some additional organ. Herbie Flowers, the T-Rex bass player, and also remember Elton John was a session for people before he became Elton John. When he was Reg Dwight, he sessioned for people like Long John Baldry, and then as Elton John played with people like Mark Bolan as well as doing his solo stuff. It's just a great album. I've got this originally because of the track Tiny Dancer, and I wanted it because I like that song, but then living with the rest of the album for many years now, tracks like Leave On, Razorface, the title cut, Indian Sunset, Holiday Inn, Rotten Peaches, all the nasties. Not a duff track on here. Even the little sweet 2-minute closer, Goodbye, is very pleasant. Indian Sunset being my favourite track. It's all kind of epic and operatic almost in places. But then you got Madman Across the Water, a very introverted song. Tiny Dancer, a lovely little love song. Just really, really good. If you're into kind of extreme metal, I don't recommend that you get it. If you do like kind of just great music and great kind of classic rock from the early 70s, Elton John, the early stuff is really good, and this is a great album to start with. Okay, moving on, going a bit of punk, bit of this. That's Vote Hacksaw by Hacksaw. Band split between Bristol and Bath, and that is, I think, is George's mum. George is the guitarist and vocalist, and then you've got drummer and vocalist Roy. There's George, there's Roy. And if I open it up, there's George with his son. And if I pull this out, there's a little kind of inner sleeve, gives you a track listing. And yeah, basically Hacksaw, they're a two-piece, a narco-punk band maybe. Just, yeah, so you got Roy that just sits there and shouts and riffs. No, George that sits there, stands there at the front of the stage, shouts and riffs on his guitar, and Roy shouts and bashes the shit out of a beat up old drum kit. One of the most entertaining bands around. I mean, not on this album, there's a cut called Bog Roll, which is their live classic, which has the fantastically insightful lyrics of bog roll, 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 and while they're performing it, the audience throw toilet rolls at each other. They've got quite a few albums out, of which this is the only one that I've got. If you're watching, Roy, you said you'll provide me with some more. But anyway, their stuff is really hard to come by. They normally only sort of like press a few here and a few there to flog at gigs, and when they're gone, they're gone. Very punk attitude to their product. But this album came out, I want to say about 2005, 2006. I may be wrong, but I've had it for about that long length of time. And it's just got some great tracks on here. They're probably one of the most serious tracks on here. Go Bath City Go. Roy and George, season ticket holders and sort of like massive supporters of the Bath City FC, non-league football club, to the extent that they wrote the club song, Go Bath City Go. They've cancelled gigs to go to the cup matches, put it that way. Also on here you got Alright Me Babber, great Bristolian saying Alright Me Babber. Original Ginsters, an ode to Cornish pasties. Popcorn Sneak, about people nicking your popcorn. Amateur in the Pit, Mosh Pit Etiquette song, Psycho Alien, written by George's son, and just brilliant stuff. This album put a smile on your face, but make you want to mosh around the room like a bastard as well. So this lot, they gig all over the country quite regularly, and once lockdown's over and you can go and see a gig, if you see the term Hacksaw at your local punk dive, go see them. It'll blow your mind. I said, if you want this one for yourself, tracking any Hacksaw album down is tough. So good luck, but they are out there. Go get. Okay, next up we got a bit of bit more vinyl and a bit more new over British heavy metal and a bit of Girlschool. Screaming Blue Murder, 1982, the Girlschool's third studio album. There's the front, there's the back, and this was the last one to feature Enid Williams before she quit the band, although I think she came back a good few years later. And yeah, one sleeve lyric sheet there. Now, I love Girlschool. First saw them live, early 80s, supporting someone, probably Motorhead, I don't know, I can't remember. Girlschool, one of these bands that turned up to support for nearly everybody, as well as headlining tours in their own right. Saw them, I must have seen them 9, 10 more times over the years. Always do a great performance. You know, and I'm not being social justice warrior or anything like that when I turn around and say, proof that gender and rock doesn't really matter. Girlschool are as good as any male band. They can write the songs, they can perform the songs. I mean, on this one you've got the fantastic Kelly Johnson on guitar, may she rest in peace. Sort of shred and whittling like a mother. Denise Dufont, superb drummer, heavy drumming from a little wee slip of a lass. The fantastic Kim McCall, I said, Enid. Gil Weston's on this one. This must be after Enid Williams left. I'm sorry, but anyway, yeah, this is probably my favourite Girlschool album at the moment. Ask me on another day, I might come up with a different answer, but at the moment, I'm really digging this one. Just got that double opening whammy of Screaming Blue Murder, and then the cover of the Rolling Stones cut Live With Me, and after that everything is just icing on the cake, because those two tracks make this album on their own. Don't Call It Love, Hellraiser, Wildlife, Turn Your Head Around, When Your Blood Runs Cold, You Got Me. Every track is like being punched in the face by a metal fist with a rather kind of feisty woman on the other end of it. Great stuff. Yeah, not much more to say about this. Oh yes, there is. I don't know who this was produced by a guy called Nigel Gray, and now I don't know whether he mastered it or not, but this album is one of the loudest cuts I have in my collection. When I put it on the turntable, I have to lower all kind of gain buttons and volume buttons, because otherwise it just rumbles your speakers and distorts. When they say play loud, with this album you have no choice. This is a loud cut, a loud mastering, and probably one of the best mastered albums I've heard. So I don't know what the digital mastering's like, so I've not got this on CD. You'll have to go and check that out and see if they managed to preserve that warmth. I hope so, because it's that mastering that helps make this album the classic that it is. But anyway, Girlschool, Screaming Blue Murder, an absolute gem. Go get. And here we go, Paradise 9, Take Me to the Future. There's the front, there's the back, and compliment slip. And in a typical kind of in a booklet, artwork, lyrics, etc. no band picks because Paradise 9, one of these sort of space rock type bands whose image isn't important to them, but the music is. Now, Paradise 9, they're out of Brighton. Like I said, they're space rock, and they were formed originally with by two guys, Greg McKellar, the guitarist, and another guitarist, a guy called Trev Toms. Now, Judge Trev Toms was probably best known for his work with Nick Turner's Inner City Unit. You know, Nick Turner, the old Hawkins sax player, and but he also played with a band called Atom Craft or Atom Gods. Atom Gods, I think it was, who are a kind of just sort of Tank-esque metal band. He didn't talk about Tank-esque because they involved Algie Ward from Tank as well. But anyway, Paradise 9, just a kind of really good kind of space rock band. They managed to kind of variate the sound between tripping between the stars with a kind of big doofer and a kind of glazed expression on your face. There's some quite rockier bits that kind of make you want to get up and boogie. Overall, just immaculately played. Gives you Greg McKellar's guitar work is pretty damn good, as is Tyrone Thomas's, the main lead guitarist. Greg McKellar also plays clarinet and synths on this, as well as doing the vocals. You have a guy called Niall Mathars on bass, Carl Sampson on drums, and then there's a guy called Yaki Windmill, who is a percussionist and backing vocalist. It's just a pretty good album. It's trippy, it's hippie, it's very impressive. Out on their own PR9 records, and yeah, probably still available online because Paradise 9 are still going and gigging. So yeah, check them out. Paradise 9, Take Me to the Future, one for all the space rockers out there. You will enjoy. Okay, next up. Yeah, we'll have some more 7 CD and another one which people may find surprising. There's the front. It's Tanita, Tikaram. You say Tikaram, I say Tikaram. Oh, let's call the whole thing off. Yeah, anyway, Ancient Heart, her debut album. There's the front. There's the back. And on here yeah, lyrics, there's pictures of Tanita, album credits, etc. Yeah, now I've got to admit I stumbled onto Tikaram completely by accident. I was going out with a girl, and Tracy Chapman was playing at the Beer Keller in Bristol. She quite liked some of that female singer-songwriter stuff, so as a present, as a birthday present, I brought her a ticket. We went down. Great evening. Tracy Chapman was really good. She really impressed me. Also on the bill was Michelle Shocked, who was quite cool. And the opening act was a Len only just signed album coming out in a couple of weeks' time, Sneaker Tikaram. So that dates it. Now we're talking about 87, 88, round about that period. Anyway, this woman, she went on stage, her an acoustic guitar, and she was spellbinding. You know, she did a lot of the tracks off this album. There's obviously the famous ones, Good Tradition, Cathedral Song, Trust in My Sobriety, but songs like Poor Cow, Preyed Upon, The World Outside Your Window, she had the audience in the palm of her hand. And I made a point of going out and buying the album the moment it came out. Originally had it on vinyl, and said girlfriend, I've still got the vinyl over here, the said girlfriend managed to, within about 2 days of having it, managed to spill a bottle of patchouli oil all over the sleeve. Didn't damage the record, but even now, that album stinks of patchouli oil when you put it out the racks. But anyway, I got to the CD version first, because Been played a lot. I've retired the vinyl, replaced it on CD. I just realised the Rod Argent production, which is another kind of big thumbs up for this album. But it's just perfect. If you like a kind of chilled out, laid back, sort of like either late at night when the lights out or sunny afternoon laying in a field somewhere, sort of background music, this album is just brilliant. The songs are deep, they're insightful. Tanita's voice is just, she moves you to your core. She just drips emotion with her voice. And although I have several of her more recent albums, this is the one I always come back to. Maybe because it's got special memories for me, or maybe just because this is an incredible record that just gives and gives and gives and keeps giving. Yeah, Ancient Heart, Tanita Tikaram. If you know, not for the metalheads, but for other peeps. Yeah, good one. Okay, more vinyl and more all-girl rock. Yeah, it's just pure coincidence that this came out for the same week as the Girlschool. But anyway, this is the Runaways, Queens of Noise. I think it's their second album, maybe their third, I'm not sure. Anyway, there's the front. No, there's nothing on the inner sleeve, so I'll just show you the back. Now, if you don't know, the Runaways are American all-girl band put together by a bloke called Kim Foley, American record producer, etc., who had this kind of almost like the Monkees idea of making a manufactured band, but this was going to be an all-girl hard rock heavy metal band, and he assembled some quite talented people. Let's have a look. You've got Cherry Curry, Lita Ford, Kim Foley, Joan Jett. I can't remember exactly who's on this album. I should know, but anyway. Yeah, and they started banging out a couple of albums. Now, this, I believe, their second album came out in 1977. Now, there is a contrast between Girlschool and this. And it's not so much the production or anything like this. It's because this is, again, a gritty rock and roll thing. It's just kind of approach. Whereas the Girlschool album's going for a kind of very metal approach, it's heavily mastered, it's all kind of widdly guitar solos. This album, the musicianship doesn't really show. And I'm not saying that these girls aren't talented, because if you actually listen to what they're doing on the album and carefully, and listen to sort of, especially people like Lita Ford and Joan Jett's subsequent careers, you'll know these are talented young ladies. However, they're going for a no-nonsense, straight down the line, raw punk approach, as they did for their first couple of albums. There's nothing wrong with this. Tracks like Heartbeat, Hollywood, Queen of Noise, Johnny Guitar, I Love Playing with Fire, none of them's over 4.5 minutes long. Actually, Johnny Guitar's an extended version, but none of them's that long. They're all kind of sweet, sharp, in your face, highly enjoyable, dirty, sleazy, almost exploitative. Almost, this is like exploitation rock, which, if you believe the stories that went around behind that have come out subsequently about the Runaways, then probably exploitation rock is probably a good way of putting it. But whatever the pros and cons and the kind of dark, kind of underground movings that are happening in the band's background while they were at their height, it can't be denied that the music they were putting out is pretty impressive. Yeah, I recommend this one to rockers, to metalheads, to punks, to anyone that just loves a good bit of music. Queen of Noise by the Runaways, 1977. Okay, next up, we shall have this. Tyrannosaurus Nebulous, Deal With My Evil EP. Now, this lot, not even sure where they're from. I want to say the Midlands somewhere. I may be wrong, but I want to say the Midlands, yeah, Birmingham, Stourbridge, that kind of area. But I came across these, hold on a second. Yeah, came across these last year. Alien Stashing, my band, my main band, I've got a punk band as well, but Alien Stashing is the main project. We kind of most years play at a festival called Solar Sphere. Now this is a festival run by Astro Radio, and it's a kind of small music and astronomy festival. Basically, you meet up with a load of people. They limit numbers to a few hundred, so there's not a vast crowds there. So you get to know people and faces, and by the end of the weekend, everybody knows everyone. And during the day, there's lectures and talks about astronomy and stargazing. Then, kind of about tea time, the music starts, and that goes through till around about midnight. And then after that, everyone gets out their telescopes and binoculars and goes into darkened fields to watch the stars. It's just a really interesting project that works really, really well. It kind of appeals to the kind of hardcore astronomer that may like a bit of rock and roll, and it also kind of attracts a lot of music fans that are kind of astro curious. So it kind of a blending of two different cultures. They've had some quite good headliners there in the past, like the Hawk Lords and Three Wise Monkeys, except Three Sick Monkeys. Say about monkeys. Anyway, and Justin Sullivan from New Model Army. But anyway, Alien Stashing seemed to be quite popular with the punters there, so we tend to play there every year. And last year, this lot were on the bill with us. Tyrannosaurus Nebulous, they're kind of metally, sort of four-piece metal band. And these guys were great. I mean, what really won me over to these blokes was their encore, where they came on and did a couple of budgie numbers. I can't remember which ones it was, but they did a couple of budgie tracks, and they did them perfectly. Which kind of really endeared me to them. We had to end up having a few drinks with them. And come to think of it, if you look there, one of the guys is wearing a budgie shirt. Yeah, anyway, really good band. They kind of got shades of kind of budgie, but also got shades of bands like maybe a bit of Maiden, a bit of Saxon. Just good old school metal. It's headbangable, it's fun, it's in your face, it's just good shit. So, there's 4 tracks on here, say TLK, Straight Jacket, Frosty Bad Boy, and Deal With My Evil. Couldn't pick a favourite because they're all pretty good. Frosty Bad Boys maybe shades it for me, but overall, pretty good. Now, this EP came out in 2016. I know they were talking about doing something more recently. Whether the album's out or not yet, I don't know. But anyway, cracking album, cracking band. Go check them out. They're still going. They were supposed to be at Solar Sphere this year in a couple of weeks' time. But like most of the bands, including Stashing, that were supposed to play this year, have been put off till next. So, yeah. Tyrannosaurus Nebulous, Deal With My Evil EP. Great one. And one to check out. Okay, next up, we'll have a bit of this. Well, actually, wrong way up. That's the right way up. Back to Babylon, Bernie Torme, or Torme as it was at the time. There's the front. There's the back. And if I pull this out, typically in a sleeve, photographs and lyrics. And the exciting thing on this one, I pull this out, red vinyl. There's side 1, there's side 2, and that is relevant. Now, Torme were put together by Bernie Torme after he quit, after he left Gillam. Can't remember exactly why he left Gillen, whether it was something to do something or there was a dispute or I don't know. I need a bit of a throat sweet. I'm a bit husky today. But anyway, Bernie Torme left Gillen and decided to, yeah, he had his, prior to being in Gillen, he had his own sort of like punky band, the Bernie Torme band. But decided to put this together. He started to recruit a couple of guys, Chris Harmon, rhythm secretary Chris Harmon and Ian Whitewood, whose other catalogue escapes me. I know they have played in other bands, but never really kind of, I couldn't remember. And then there's a vocalist, a certain Phil Lewis, who we encountered a couple of weeks ago with Girl, and currently now in LA Guns, of course, stepped up to the plate. Recorded this album in 1985, and what a classic! What a classic album this is. One of the probably the best unknown underground UK rock albums of all time, definitely in my opinion. Other people do tend to agree with me. If you don't, then fair enough. But anyway, certainly one that deserved to be a lot bigger than what it was. Don't know why this album never broke. It was getting the radio airplay. It had all the, you know, maybe the Cherry Red Records didn't back it enough, or I don't know. But anyway, this remains a criminally underrated album. It's a schizophrenic album as well, and I mean that in the fact that it's an album of two sides. Well, obviously, but there's a great kind of differential between the two sides. Side one, you've got tracks like All Around the World, Star, Eyes of the World, Burning Bridges, Hardcore, and Here I Go. They're glam rock tracks. They are sleazy, hairspray fueled, fag dangling from your lip, four fingers of whiskey in a stripper bar down in the back lanes of Soho kind of vibe to them. You know, probably some of the sleaziest rock you'll ever have. It's kind of in your face. It's bratish. It's fun if you like that kind of thing. Then you turn the album over, and you end up with only 4 tracks. Family at War, which is kind of driven with this bomb ba ba bomb, doom 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 bomb ba ba bomb bass line, and just kind of wailing, haunting guitar and some kind of quite poignant lyrics about family breakup. Frontline, which is all about next 2 tracks, Frontline and Arabia, kind of run into each other, and Arabia's got this fantastic kind of Arabic kind of feel, talking about troubles in the Middle East and Israel, etc. And then Mystery Train, which kind of looks at mentions people like Alistair Crowley, and is all about kind of magicians and people seeking occult truth. Spine-tingling track, deep, dark, moody, with a fantastic Bernie Torme guitar solo. Bernie Torme's guitaring on here is some of the best he ever did. I've got quite a lot of Torme's catalogue, both with Torme, previous stuff, he does stuff he done with Gillen and later. Some of his best works on this album. Phil Lewis's vocals are great. The rhythm section, tighter than that. You know, they're these guys could hold a pencil, if you know what I mean, ladies. And produced by Big John McCoy, the Gillen bass player, and overall just a brilliant album. Again, I don't know whether this is available digitally or not, but check out the vinyl, go find it if you can, because like I said, one of the most underrated albums of all time. Bernie Torme, Back to Babylon. Okay, last CD, and with these last couple kind of seem to kind of fit together, a kind of theme and era and genre. There's the front. There's the back. And this is the Grateful Dead's American Beauty. And if I pop this out, not much of it in the because this is a fairly recent reissue. There's the inner sleeve, some general sleeve notes. Yeah, now I've got to admit, now I'm going to be very careful what I say here, because I know there's loads and loads of deadheads out there that know everything about the Grateful Dead, including what Phil Leach had for breakfast on a given day of any given year. So I've got to admit, my Grateful Dead knowledge is lacking, and I apologise for that. They're just a band that I like. And yes, I came to the Grateful Dead party pretty damn late. I was one of the people that kind of saw the video on MTV for A Touch of Grey, thought what a great track, brought the single, brought the album, and then that led me to exploring most other Grateful Dead tracks. So I know that the whole Touch of Grey thing can be a bit maligned amongst deadheads, but hey, if it kind of got me to kind of start listening to bands like this and Working Men's Dead and Terrapin Junction, etc., then hey, it worked. Anyway, Grateful Dead, for those of you that do live under rocks and have never heard of them, one of the classic American psychedelic, stoner, hippie, counterculture bands, started in the 1960s. First couple of albums are really kind of sort of psychedelic. Later, as they kind of developed on into the 70s, they began to kind of look at introducing elements of the American songbook and country and gospel and that into their sound, but keeping it true to that kind of hippie psychedelic ethos. Blend it together brilliantly, and sadly kind of broke up when, because various members have been getting a bit old. They lost Jerry Garcia, they lost Brett Midland and quite a few other people within a short space of time, and broke up late 1990s. But anyway, this, again, it's one of these ones where it depends on what day you ask me what my favourite Grateful Dead album is. This one will come up quite regularly. As a American Beauty from 1970. One of the first album when they started to break away from being the pure psych rock into the kind of exploring sort of like elements of like country and blues. This is just a great album. Again, it's a cliche and I say it a lot, but it's true when it comes to this. Every track on here is noteworthy. From the opener, Box of Rain, to the closer, The Fantastic Trucking, which is probably one of my all-time favourite Grateful Dead numbers. Then you got Till the Morning Comes, Friend of the Devil, Sugar Magnolia, Candyman, Broke Down Palace, Attics of My Life. It just goes on and on. 10 cuts on here. Everyone played to perfection, produced by the band themselves, and it's a great record. You can listen to this in the car while you're driving, and it kind of makes the journey slip past. You can listen to it late at night whilst you're just chilling out, and it makes the evening slip past brilliantly. Sunny afternoons, you can imagine yourself on a California beach wanting to go surfing. There isn't a kind of, I've even heard tracks of this album played at funerals, so it's, you know, there isn't a time or a place where this album isn't the appropriate listen, put it that way. Yeah, not much more to say. Just go check it out. You may not like the Grateful Dead, but if you do and this isn't in your collection, shame on you, because one of their best. Yeah, Grateful Dead, American Beauty. And it leads us into the last one, and another interesting one. There's the front. This is Good Singing, Good Playing by Grand Funk Railroad. 1976, I think. Yeah, 76. There's the front. There's the back. And yeah, there's no inner sleeve, just well, there is an inner sleeve, nothing else but other than that on there. Now, there's an interesting story behind this album. This the Grateful Dead, not the Grateful Dead, sorry. Grand Funk Railroad had apparently broken up before this album even came out. I'm trouble getting this back in the sleeve here. This is a very old album. I bought this second hand many years ago. Yeah, and it was a deletion. You got the crop there. Anyway, the band had broken up long before this album even came out. It was not long, about a year before this album came out. They decided to call it quits in 1975. However, at one of their final farewell gigs, Mark Farner, the guitarist, bumps into Frank Zappa, and Frank said, "Well, I've always wanted to work with you guys." And they turned around and the band turned and said, "Well, we've always wanted to work with you too, Frank." So therefore, even though the band were broke up, they decided to get in the studio to record One Last Hurrah. The Frank Zappa produced, good singing, good playing. Well, it's more than Frank Zappa produced. Zappa himself turns up on a couple of tracks on this as a guest guitarist. And it's pretty good. Considering this album's kind of just banged out release and it was never toured or anything, and the band went into official breakup for about 5 years after this. As a kind of going away present, it's pretty good. I mean, you got Don't Let Them Take Your Gun, Miss My Baby, Couldn't Just Do It, Going for the Pastor, 1976, Crossfire, and then all pretty good tracks, you know. And then you've got the Poisse de Resistance, and the one track that makes this album worth getting above anything else. It's Out to Get You. It's the one that features the Zappa heaviest, most heavily. It's basically an instrumental jam, and Jess has a Frank Zappa solo to die for. It's just messed up. Like a lot of Frank Zappa's lead work, it's just messed up. But the fact that it's Frank doing messed up lead work during with Mark Farner, it just gives it something special. I mean, you may or may not like the rest of this album. Yeah, I've got to admit, there's tracks like Miss My Baby, which I can take or leave on this album, but this will always be, just for that Out to Get You, an album that I will recommend just for that one track. So, that's it for this week. Good singing, good playing, Grand Funk Railroad. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, it helps kind of spread the word. And don't forget, check out the radio shows down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook. So, until next week, peeps, I'm out of here. Loves you. Bye.